In February 2023, Belgian publisher Repo Production released Seven Wonders Edifice, a new expansion for Antoine Bauza's Seven Wonders, specifically the second edition of Seven Wonders that debuted in 2020. Now, Edifice is roughly half of Seven Wonders Babel, an expansion for the first edition of Seven Wonders that appeared in 2014. You might think of it as the good half of Babel, where players are now trying to collectively complete the building of something. And if you participate in that building and it's finished, you get a reward. If it's not finished and you haven't participated, then you're penalized. That's it. A little something extra to consider each game. Sometimes you don't care about the penalty based on what your wonder is and what you're trying to do. Sometimes you really want that bonus, and so you're going to try to make it happen. It's got a couple of extra wonders as well. So it's going onto the pile along with many other expansions that have come out for Seven Wonders. And you look at this giant pile and you're like, do I really need this giant pile on my shelf? I mean, of course, it depends on how much of a fan you are, but more specifically, do I need this giant pile on my shelf? Or is there a better way to store it? There is an easy way and a more complex way. Let me show you the easy way first. Before taking a look inside Edifice, I thought I'd show what I did with the first three expansions, which are empty. Yes, I still have the boxes, but the components are all inside the base game because everything fits once you throw out the insert. That is my first organization step for almost any game. Get rid of the insert. The insert is made very specifically for the game, not necessarily sleeved cards, has things arranged in a certain way that takes up a lot of space, and you can use that space for other purposes by getting rid of that insert. So I currently have the inserts from two of the expansions that hold all of the base game cards, the score pad for the original game. It's got the tokens from Armada and Cities. One of the other expansion inserts holds leader cards, city cards and tokens, Armada cards, the Armada tokens, and ships. Got 3 score pads because they give you a score pad with each expansion. Whole bag of coins. Every expansion has included coins. Just put them all in here because it does not matter. And then you have the instruction manuals for all the expansions, all of the wonders compiled together, and the Armada boards. So everything fits already with the 3 expansions and the base game components inside the base game box. Once you go to Edifice, well, what do you have inside? You have an ad, don't need that. You have 3 description sheets, as in the other expansions. You got rules, those can go right on the bottom. You got some components to punch out, put those 6s inside the coin bag. And yes, I'm using a bag. People think I don't necessarily use a bag in all situations, but it works out perfectly. Dump this on the table, done. Scoop it up, done. Okay. 2 wonders, they can go with the others. Right on the bottom, cards, tokens. These, you're going to put out tokens based on the number of players into the center of the table. You are going to put out one of these edifices from each age, and it gives you the reward and the penalty. So, all right, new score token. That is score pad. That is like the others. Slight change for the icon, but otherwise the same. So it all fits already. You can tell. This goes here, this goes here. You've got these additional tokens. These can go in the bag. Because they're just military markers. You're going to possibly have more military victories once you use Edifice. They go in here. We got penalty ones. I can get a separate bag for that maybe. Dump those in here. All right, don't need that. Whoops. All this goes here. There you go. Edifice incorporated into the base game box. It's all done. That's the easy way to do it. And this is now all set. Fits on the shelf in a much smaller space than using all of the expansions. I kept these boxes though, because I kept thinking there's a better way to do this. A way to not necessarily use some of the art, which is awesome, but use the titles, organize things a little bit better. I'm usually don't care that much about organizing, as past videos have indicated to some people, or at least I have a different system of organization than most. But I look at this, and I kind of want to do away with the plastic trays. And I thought maybe if I cut down the leaders box, I can just put these cards right inside. It's the right width. It's actually a little too wide. The depth is too much. I don't need something that deep. But if I cut it down and just have a little box like this, then I could take that little box and it would fit right inside here. Just a little leaders box. And I have a cities one on top of it, and I have an Armada, and I have a base game one, but I'm not sure what I'd make the base game one from. It still leaves the question of whether I need one of these. But I thought I could give it a try. At least cut this up and see, cut up cities. Because again, this is all you have for cities. This box, once you incorporate the wonders in the stack, the tokens in the bag, the score sheet, assuming I need it here, this is all that's left, unique to cities. And so maybe I should drop this down here. Time to get out the crafting tools and see whether this idea works. If it doesn't work, fine, I lose nothing because I already showed you that you can fit all 4 expansions inside the 7 Wonders base game box. That solution still works, even if I mess up cutting these boxes. But I need to do something because I kept them around, kept thinking I'm going to do something at some point. I haven't yet. Well, now's the time. And I can get rid of all of this and have everything in a much smaller space. One way or another, it will fit in a smaller space. Just have to get over the discomfort of throwing out the insert, which, sure, the publisher included it because they thought it'd be useful. The little advertising usually has some graphics in there to highlight the game, but whatever. Don't need it. We'll move on. Start with leaders since that's the most straightforward thing to do. It's a deck of cards. Cut up a tiny box for it, and you're set. Ideally, we'll see. Starting with the empty 7 Wonders box, we put in, as before, all of the Armada boards, all of the Wonders. We have leaders and Armada, all the components fitting in there. We have cities and the base game cards. I want some kind of graphic on here. I'm not sure exactly. what, but it works. We have the Edifice cards. They're a bit larger, but they fit down here with Edifice components on top. The city diplomacy markers. Possibly I should have made cities larger and fit these directly in the box. If I had not shortened the cities box and just kept it the original thickness, the original depth, I could have put these inside. But I didn't because I wanted to stack these two. So they go there. We have coins, score pads, which fit 2 abreast. Rules. And look at this. There's room for another expansion. All this wasted space by using these things is now gone. Put this in here, put this in the top. And there you go. Let's see. How much did it mess up when I flipped it? Not much. These are the only unbagged parts here, the diplomacy things, which I could put in a bag, but there is room for another expansion. I could make a box from the Edifice for these components here, have that in the bottom, sitting on top of the cards. Might still do that, or just leave it at this. Not sure, but as you can see, everything does fit for now, so mission accomplished. Ideal box fart, courtesy of 7 Wonders 2nd Edition, plus all the expansions in one fairly beefy box. Yeah, this is pretty heavy now because it's got everything from all the expansions inside this, but it takes up so much less space on your shelf or in your bag where you're carrying it around. You're now going to hit weight limits on your luggage instead of volume limits. It's always a mix, right? You're trying to travel and balance the two of those and get everything in there, but now you see how it can be done with room for another expansion. Antoine, should you have anything you want to talk about? There is room. It will fit in here, depending on how large it is. Are there other games that you want to see reboxed like this, something that you like to take on? I realize, of course, not everyone likes cutting up their boxes. I will admit as well, these are all review copies, so maybe I have an advantage in that I don't feel as attached to these, but I do this with my own games as well, games that I purchase, just because I find it better to take up less space on the shelf. It just seems like you can fit everything in a more compact area. Maybe it comes from traveling overseas and needing to pack small to get everything in there, but have a real affinity for doing that, which leads to projects like this and other ones that I've done in the past. If you have other suggestions for games that you'd like to see squished down, post a comment or do it yourself and share an image in the BGG news post that will talk about this very reboxing.